The cloud. There's no doubt it's the future of enterprise computing, but really, what are the critical differences in support and service if your company is still using on-premise software? Welcome to the debut of Firing Line. I'm Bill Kutik, and with me today is Mike Ettling, SAP's president for its HR line of business. Mike is one of the industry's top 3 HR technology executives and the only one in charge of both on-premise and cloud, so he should know. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Bill. How are you?
Good. Before we move to the cloud and this transition we're all seeing in software, you and I have been emailing quite a bit lately, and I couldn't help notice your unique email signature, which includes a quote from the famous South African leader Nelson Mandela, which will allow me to read so I get it absolutely right. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, it goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. Why did you include that?
I grew up in South Africa, and I lived through the apartheid era, the change of apartheid, the creation of the Rainbow Nation and the new South Africa. You know, I can remember still as a kid, one of my early vivid memories is playing in my parents' garden, and some black guys running away from the police come running through the garden. My mother opens up the door and says, "Come hide in the house."
Wow.
And many people didn't realize just how draconian apartheid was. So black people couldn't be in white areas unless they had a pass. And if they didn't have a pass and got caught, they'd be thrown in jail. So it's kind of shaped a lot of who I am and my attitude to life. But more importantly, it shaped a lot of what I think about leadership. And, you know, the words about leadership are really important. When you can resonate with people and talk to their heart, you get people engaged with you and you can motivate people to do what they need to do.
Mike, you grew up professionally at the top of the outsourcing world with increasing responsibilities at EDS, Unisys, and then CEO of Northgate Arinso. What lessons did you take from those experiences?
Well, besides learning to wear a white shirt and a blue tie at EDS, but seriously, I think what you learn in outsourcing is that you have to have multi-year relationships with customers. And how you build multi-year relationships is really important, because in the software on-premise world, we can drop the CD off and becomes the partner's problem to implement it. And yes, we'll take some support calls, but we essentially can wash our hands once we've delivered the CD. In outsourcing, it's day in and day out. You're only as good as the last mistake you made the day before or not. And the key thing about that is you have to get to the end of the outsourcing contract in a way that the renewal is a non-event. And renewals happen and are made during the life of the contract. If you find yourself in a position where you're selling the renewal, you failed. And that is so similar to the cloud world.
And you made the point to me one day that they're both outsourcing and SaaS are both selling outcomes rather than code lines of software.
Yeah, exactly. You know, in outsourcing, the client buys an outcome. In cloud software, and I think many cloud companies don't really internalize this concept, we are not selling software. We are selling an outcome. We're selling software combined with data centers, combined with network infrastructure, combined with support, which is enabling a customer, a client, to engage their people in an HR context. So it is not about just selling bits and bytes of technology, and that is so fundamental to the cloud world. And actually, I believe this differentiation between selling software and selling an outcome is going to be the great determinant between the winners and the losers in the cloud world in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, for that matter, how has customer service changed from on-premise to the cloud?
In the cloud world, it's my problem, and it's always my problem. And it doesn't matter whether the partner's implemented it wrong or the network's fallen over. In the cloud world, it comes back to me. So customer service and the customer service models have to recognize that. They have to enable that. You can't have very nice, clear delineation over that's not my problem, call X, or that is my problem, I'll deal with it. Because the customer is not interested. The customer wants the outcome fixed and the outcome delivered.
Mike, thank you for those insights about how the vendor's role changes. Everyone always talks about what happens at the customer site between on-premise and the cloud. But that focus on how the vendors change, I think, is very important for everyone to hear. So thank you for coming to tell us.
Thank you, Bill.
Please join us next time for SAP's Group Vice President David Ludlow, who was in charge of a single HR system longer than any executive alive. He has important experiences to share with you. Thank you for watching. I'm Bill Kutik.